Before we begin, please be advised that this show may contain some adult themes that may not be appropriate for all listeners. Use your discretion. Now, on to our show. Welcome to the Sip and Saga Society, where we cover histories, mysteries, and just any story worth telling. Every week, Karina, Randi, and occasionally Greg cover a year in time while slowly traumatizing each other along the way. My name is Karina, and I'm one of your hosts, and today we're covering the year 1767. Yay! I didn't know anything about this year before a week ago. So it's
Excellent.
very exciting.
Excellent.
Yeah. But I know more now. Congratulations to all of us. But before we get to that, we have to ask Randy and Greg, what are you drinking today? And do you got any snacks? Randy, you go first.
Oh, me first. Okay. Well, I don't have snacks because I stopped and got dinner on my way home. I was starving. So I have a Mr. Pibb ch from Chipotle that I have barely touched, which is shocking to me, but that's where I'm at tonight. Just too busy focused on getting to the podcast to drink my drink. But in an effort to, Karina and I agreed that we were going to try to bring more interesting drinks to match Greg's vibes. I actually do have another beverage, an alcoholic beverage. I have a black cherry hard cider from this brewery 1911. I think it's local to Western New York area, but I haven't opened it yet. So do you want to ASMR? You want to hear? Yeah,
Yeah.
you hear it?
Yes, we need the ASMR.
Okay.
Oh, that was like
First, I
Ta-da!
was like,
spicy.
I know, I
That
was like, did I
looks,
miss it? Did like the noise cancellation cut it out? And then it was
it
there.
was so
So
crisp.
crisp.
It was very
It was
crisp.
crisp.
Wow. That's like the I was like, that's
Oh,
gonna
and
be
it's
my Moby
yummy.
Dick. Oh, it's good. Oh,
It is yummy. I'm gonna enjoy this.
that was a nice ASMR. Wow, I love that. Thank you,
I
Randy.
actually did used to do that just for fun to people. When I have nails,
Amazing.
it really works.
I believe it. Greg, what do you have today?
I have this is a really interesting beer actually. It's this beer from Amagang Brewery, which is in Cooperstown, New York, actually, so also New York beer. And it's
Oh,
called the
is that a little
Grande
gnome?
Tripel. Huh?
Is that a
Yeah, so it's
gnome?
got all these little like garden gnomes on
It's
it.
so
So
cute.
so it's a Belgian Tripel that they did a collab with, I think, with Utica Coffee Roasting, which is also in New York. So it's a Tripel, but it's flavored with like coffee and vanilla. So it's really different because it's not quite a stout, but it has like stouty flavors. And it's 9%.
Nine. Oh, that's a good number. Let's see. Mine's at 7.
I like 7. 7 and up, you know.
Not
Yes.
shabby.
That's why for my 1 pint of Steigl Radler that I chose, I think it's 2%.
Yeah.
So I don't live by Greg's standards.
I like a Radler though. Like if you're just wanting to drink something that tastes good
It's
in the summer.
2.25.
You
Oh, it
also
is the
don't.
perfect summer
It's a
beverage.
great summer beverage.
I was like, you don't want to drink alcohol anyway, Karina. You keep saying.
Not really, yeah. I'm only drinking this one because it's in the house. And I was like, well, what a fun return to life. It's a spring beverage. It's a spring beverage. There it is. And I want to do pickle beer for our next recording. So I was like, okay, I'll
Pickle
drink this
beer.
one then.
Okay.
Yeah,
You're gonna do the pickle beer?
I'm gonna try
Does that
it.
does that mean it doesn't have gluten? Or is it just an added flavor? Like
I don't know.
stout.
I
I don't know.
I
Okay.
don't know.
I'll search in the pickle beers that I look at.
I
I
tried
will
the
say,
best made one, or like the one that's like in Texas in Fort Worth, and it if you like pickle juice, you'll like it. But it
you know
just
what's
tastes like
funny
pickle juice.
is that I mean, I'm one of those people, Karina, I don't know if you're one of these people, but I have a pickle jar in my fridge that isn't missing any pickles, but the juice is half gone because I just drink every once in a while I'll go in and I'll open my pickle jar for a drink of pickle juice.
No, I don't want it.
You don't ever
I
just like
don't have
need
pickles in
pickle
my home.
juice?
No,
Oh,
I don't have pickles in my home. Like
yeah.
if I go to a burger place or if I order something, a sandwich or whatever, and it comes on the plate, I'll eat it. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to buy them and house them
You're not
in my
going out of your
house.
way to add
No, I'm
pickles
not
to your life.
paying for them.
Yeah. I learned a long time ago that it's like not the pickles. I'm just a really big vinegar fan. I think that's really what it is. Basically, if it's been doused in vinegar, I'm in
That's
love with
fair.
it.
Do you like salt and vinegar chips?
Love. Pickled
Yeah.
red onions is one of my absolutely favorite things
Oh
to
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
They're
We
so
got
good.
some
Ugh.
pickled carrots, I think, at Trader Joe's a while back that were really good.
Pickled okra. It's very yummy.
I don't like okra.
Oh, is it the texture?
Yes, it is. And
It's
I
so
try it all the
awesome.
time. Like literally, we were a couple weeks ago when my kids were on spring break. My cousins were visiting, and they had these like okra chips. They'd been like sliced
Hmm.
and like fried, air fried or something like that. And I tried them just 'cause I was like, I try to set a good example for my son, and I was like, you gotta try food even if you know you don't like it. And I like that the best out of all the okra that I've had.
Out there giving okra a fighting chance. Good for
Yeah.
them.
I like okra. I think it's phenomenal. But I get it. Like sometimes it is a lot.
I will eat a lot of things. There's just like two or three things that I
Hmm.
that are just
Hmm.
like not for me,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah, everyone has them. I'm trying to think what mine are.
Yeah. Like there's a
I
lot
don't
of out there. Yeah.
I don't have texture things. So like I like escargot. I'm really
Mhm.
fine with raw fish.
Do you like lengua?
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, me too.
Beef
No.
tongue for those of you
Do you
who
say
don't
no,
know.
Karina?
I used to, when I was not vegetarian, I used to really love it because my mom's like a really good cook and hers was phenomenal. But no, I haven't had it in a long time. So, but it's good.
Hmm.
It's really soft. Anywho, oh yeah, we're here to do a podcast episode.
I get so now I'm like off thinking about food. Maybe I should have brought a snack.
Uh,
We should
um,
do a food episode though, like a food history,
you know what? You're right, Craig. We hadn't
because that would be
we
fucking cool.
Yeah, I don't think it's on the list for this year. We could have put it on there.
we always have a
We
deep
could
dive.
still. Yeah.
I would not mind deep diving food. I do love food. I used to watch Unwrapped a lot, and that's feel like it's a similar nature.
I already have an amazingly depressing idea for what to do for that episode.
Great.
Add it to the list.
Karina's starting tonight, though.
Oh yes, it's my turn. Whew. Yes, the year is 1767. Wait. So, Greg, how do you want to do the facts? How many facts do you have? How are we?
Okay, hold on. So I have eight.
To
I
do with the
tried to
Mason
get kind
Dixon
of
line.
random things from world history and stuff that wasn't depressing. So,
I love the effort.
so I have like science facts. I do have some political history stuff. I have medical facts. I have arts facts. I have all sorts of interesting stuff.
Oh, I
Okay,
love that.
cool. That's
I
gonna be
tried to get a
fun.
variety.
It's gonna be fun.
Okay, so let me set the scene with 1767 because it's not a year that we normally think about that often. In fact, I was even like, when you said we were doing this year, I was like, I don't even know. Like, I mean, there's some basic things with like American Revolution history that I know are going on. I could probably tell you about, but like, there's not an immediate thing, right? So I did some digging around on the internet. And just so for context for what's going on this year, My first fact is that the first volume of the Nautical Almanac and Astronomical Ephemeris was published by a British astronomer named Neville Maskelyne. And this was really important because this gave navigators the first tables of lunar distance to help them calculate longitude. So we hadn't been able to consistently calculate longitude. Like latitude is easy because that's like you look at like distance between like the stars and the horizon and stuff, I think, right? Like that's like an easier one to do and like figure out how far away from the equator you are. But longitude like was kind of made up, and we figured that out around this time more accurately.
Wow. I hope
What do
you
you
guys are
mean
excited.
made up? Just
Like
made
like
up?
there's not like with the equator you've got a reference point, right? So there's the equator and then it's like how far away are you? Longitude was something that like the ancient Greeks had talked about as like a oh like what's there's got to be a way to measure up and down, but we hadn't come up with like a consistent way to do that. So that made navigation way more accurate like from
Mm,
that point onward.
they were just guesstimating before then.
Yeah, no, I mean literally like old maps from like explorer periods, like they have longitude, but they're really like skewed in terms of perspective sometimes because they just didn't know like, how to accurately track the distance and stuff.
That's amazing. And very relevant for my story, actually, Greg. I don't know if
Okay,
you knew that. Just
awesome.
super duper relevant.
So my second fact, and this is something that it's really interesting to me because I did like master's work in this area a little bit. Um, King Carlos III of Spain started the process to expel the Jesuits from all of like the Spanish Empire. Like the empire or the Jesuits as like a Catholic order were kind of on the decline and facing a lot of political pressure, and they were kicked out of like all the Spanish colonies, which is I think is interesting because I studied them in Canada for my master's thesis and have like a soft spot in my heart for the Jesuits because I think they're cool. And I like education.
Wow, that fits really well with mine later.
Awesome. All
I
right.
want to hear more about the Jesuits.
Yeah, I can definitely talk about the Jesuits. Um, my third fact is, and I don't know, I don't speak Arabic. So his name is Ahmed Al-Ghazal, who is an emissary from the Sultan Mohammed bin Abdullah of Morocco. He went to like visit basically. So this is like the Sultan of Morocco. He sent this emissary to Spain, and he returned to Marrakesh in Morocco with about 300 Muslims who had been held captive in Spain, as well as a bunch of sacred Islamic manuscripts, like early manuscripts from like Islamic history that had been seized by the Spanish in 1612. So this was considered like a big win for the Islamic world, and there were 300 people who had been enslaved, as captives who were brought back home. And so this was like a big deal in Moroccan history. I don't know if that fits with anybody's stuff.
No, but I
No.
really love that. I miss those days. 300 was such a big deal. Beautiful.
Yeah, but also like the Spanish, like that's one of the things that like, we always focus on exploration, and Ferdinand and Isabella were really big on like the Reconquista, right?
Mhm.
Reconquering parts of the Spanish homelands from the Moros or the Moors, these North African Muslims who'd lived there for like hundreds of years. And so like they did a lot of terrible things where, people were expected to convert and then they weren't like trusted to have converted. Like they're like, we don't really think that you converted. We think you did this just to stay here and, you're saying you're a Catholic, but you're not. And so like lots of people faced oppression as a result of that. Like Jewish people in the Spanish Empire and Islamic folks too.
The duplicity of Europeans really makes them super paranoid, huh? Because this has got to be like, at least the third story that we've talked about. I know that this isn't a story, this is just a fact, but like the third instance we've talked about where someone in the European family has been like, you have to do this thing. And then when it's complied to, they're like, okay, I don't care. I'm still going to treat you exactly how I planned on treating you before you did that.
Yeah.
They just can't trust.
Yeah. Well, it's like, like you're paranoid about the very thing that you're down to do to other people. It's funny how that works out.
It's like the people that cheat on other people being the most paranoid about cheating.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Because they know the signs.
I know
Hmm.
what it looks like.
Yeah,
They're like,
right.
if I would do it, anyone would do
Always
it,
what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay. So last fact for 1767 before we go into the next segment. So this was in October of 1767. There's this guy who was a physician in London named Dr. William Watson, and he was working at this place called the Foundling Hospital, which I assume is for like orphans and small children. I didn't like look up the history of that, but now I kind of want to look into the history of this hospital. And he was the first physician to ever conduct like what we consider a controlled clinical trial, where you have different groups and you're trying different things like
Mm-hmm.
specifically. So
Mm-hmm.
they were testing to see like this is before we'd figure out how to inoculate against smallpox. And so he got a group of 32 boys and girls who were like close in age and none of them had had smallpox, like figured out that they didn't have smallpox, and divided them into three different groups to test different treatments that he thought might help with that. So one of the groups got a mixture of mercury and I don't know how to say this word, jalap, Jalap. I haven't looked up what that is yet, but that's a rabbit hole we could go down. So one of them got a mixture with mercury in it, which probably, what we know now about mercury, it's probably kind of
Yeah,
toxic.
bad.
But we're
Bad.
trying things out.
it was a
Another group got
decision.
another group got something called senna glycoside, which I also don't know what that is. I just was like, okay, they got a different
Sides
thing.
aren't good. Sides aren't
Yeah, and the third group was the control group. They had no pre-treatment at all. I think that, you know, he was probably trying out variolation, which was where you would take like cultures of live smallpox, like make an incision into someone's arm, and then put the smallpox like junk in there
good.
to
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
give people a weaker version of the virus that's easier to survive. Because that was like starting around this time. So I just looked up some basic facts. I would kind of want to dig into that now. But the control group was interesting to me because it's like the first like kind of modern-ish medical thing where we're like, let's get three different groups and try this thing specifically to see if it works. So, smallpox.
I mean, yes, smallpox. That's a beautiful story. They took the weaker version of the virus from people who had already survived it. But yeah, and you're saying that this is hopeful? I'm gonna leave it hopeful. Actually, I'm
I
not
want to
gonna.
leave it hopeful, right? I mean,
Yeah,
like
I'm not
because
gonna
this
say anything
obviously was
else.
like
I'm
this
gonna
help getting us to
let us
like
be
modern
hopeful.
medical trials and stuff. Like I want to
Let
be
us be
hopeful.
hopeful.
I like it. I thought it was hopeful. I think that, vaccinations are important.
They are, right?
The
People in
original study.
1767 were like, "Hey, we should find a way to cure these diseases." And we eventually figured out vaccines work.
And then we said no more and
Let's
decided
go
not to
back
do
to
it.
mercury and
I will eat the mercury.
ivermectin and
I don't,
lead.
I don't even know what that is.
It's
it's
like
like
the
a horse
dewormer.
dewormer that
Yeah.
Trump said was going to cure COVID. So now they think it cures everything, including
Oh,
cancer. Yeah, I have a lot of feelings about it. Anyway, a little bit about the Jesuits. So they left, right? So they left because they were being taken or because they were being kicked out, right?
the
Persecuted
Jesuits
as
were
such.
being kicked out of where?
Well,
Pretty much
some of,
all the missionary spots and like throughout the empire.
Oh,
mhm.
this is directly after Greg's fact. That's what we're talking.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
after Greg's fact about the Jesuits, so mine doesn't start like that. It starts talking about a building, but the timeline is right after that. So if you're, I say that, but some of it is even before. Today I'm going to talk about the Colegio de San Ignacio in Mexico City. If you're a history buff and you're visiting the historic parts of Mexico City, you might find yourself visiting a Baroque building, which takes up an entire city block. The outside of the building looks grand with tall, flat columns, each with a pointed top dividing different areas of the building. The sides of the building are covered in red tanzotl stone with lighter colored sandstone used for decoration. With 3.9 stars on Google, the nonprofit school of the Colegio de San Ignacio de Loyola Vizcaines, I'm not great at pronunciation, but especially on the last one, I Googled it and I still was like, my brain can't wrap my head around it right now. But it is the only school started during Mexican colonial times when it was still under Spanish control that is still open to this day. The building itself is not usually open for tourists, but you can rent it out for special occasions such as weddings, book launches, and graduation ceremonies.
Do you think
Also,
that do you
oh, go
think
ahead.
that you'd rent it for like a ghost hunting? Like I feel like that place would be rife for some haunted interactions if you can rent it for a private event. I'm just saying.
I don't know
I
how much
You're
I
like,
would
what?
money.
be
How much does it cost to spend the night there? Like,
right.
just pay them. Just be like,
Like
look,
and are you going to be upset if I tell you I found a ghost?
I say that because there was an asylum like built during the Civil War about an hour and a half from where I went to grad school in West Virginia. In Weston, West Virginia is where it's at. And they literally like that's one of the ways they made money is like they were on an episode of Ghost Hunters, but they did like tours. Like you could pay to spend the night in the asylum if you wanted to. And like bring your gear, like your PKE meters and stuff like that.
It is my goal before I die to visit one haunted historical place in every state.
That's the one to go
So,
to in West
yeah,
Virginia.
yeah.
Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
I want to go there too.
I've been
There's a list.
to the Shining house, obviously, in Colorado, the hotel that The
Oh, that's
Shining is
cool.
based off of. I've not stayed, but I did get a commemorative coin from them. I don't remember why. And then I did a ghost tour while I was there. That was fun. It did not feel real at all, but it was fun. The weirdest one I went to was the I've been to the Amityville Horror House, but the weirdest one I went to was the Haunting in Connecticut house. Because
Oh.
people are like, it's in a regular ass neighborhood. Like, if I wouldn't have known what I was looking for, I would have not realized anything was going on in that house. But I think that's in some ways more insidious, you know?
Hmm.
It feels safe until it doesn't.
Right, yeah. Or like somebody's actually going crazy because they're letting you live in that house. And why are they letting you live in that house, knowing what's happened in there?
Huh. Well, what do you put in the Zillow listing, though? You know, like
Comes with occupying spirits. I don't know.
It's
For
legitimately like if
free.
I was a neighbor, I'd be like, "Did you Google this house? Like, did your realtor
Did
tell
you
you
look at it at all? Did you think before you came here?
anything? Anything?"
No? No?
Cool, 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 cool.
We have been to the Lizzie Borden house. That was my first home.
Sure.
And then um, the Missouri State Penitentiary, I made Evan come with me to go do a nighttime tour. And most of the house was fine until the death row house was creepy. And there was
I can
this
see that
girl,
being creepy.
yeah, there was this girl like facing me. There were
No.
these two girls facing me, and we were outside of the cells, and she's looking at the shadows behind me, and they're whispering, and they're like, and they're like, the lady's like, we're t this is a tour, like listen, and she's like, well, it's because we can see these shadows, and they're like, they don't match what's happening, and I was like, well, I don't like that, do I? It's behind me. I feel gross. Anyway, yeah, so this is a really old place.
Yes, back on track. Thank you,
Yes.
Karina. A really
Yeah.
old place where
Yeah,
potentially bad things happened.
Could be
they didn't.
ghosts.
They didn't. My fact is literally just the opening of the school is in 1676. And I saw it. Okay, this is my method. This is the method of my madness whenever we pick a year and I do the short story is I go to the onthisday.com and then I look through the events and I'm like, that one. And this is the one I picked for this episode. But it's
Okay.
because I was curious. I was like, I
Hmm.
don't know anything about Mexican history, and I am always excited to learn more, you know? But this place is so big that in 2009, Elton John and James Blunt held a concert in the main courtyard, which can house 1,200 people. And I thought that was crazy, having a concert at this old school. Wild. Just like
I
thinking
think
about
that's
it.
cool.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
just
it's in,
random that it's Elton John and James Blunt too,
right.
but you know.
I love James Blunt, okay? You
Yes.
know, but they still have like concerts in old places like that all the time. Like when we were in Greece, they still use some of those like amphitheater areas
Pink
to have
Floyd live in
concerts.
Pompeii is like one of their like legendary concerts, you know.
Well, it's a functioning school still, so that's the interesting part to me.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, actually, I forgot about that part. Hmm.
like I'm just going to this like preparatory school. Anyway, so this is a little bit of the history, the before, the during. In 1524, Franciscan friars arrived in Mexico and constructed a convent with a chapel dedicated to the Virgin of Aranazuzu. Most of the friars that had come to build all these churches came from families in Spanish regions like Vizcaya, which is where the name Vizcaines is. Like that's where it comes from, is that region in Spain. Um, as well as the Álava, Guipúzcoa, and Navarre regions. In 1681, the Confraternity of the Virgin of Aranzuzu was founded. So it's just this group. And they decided to use the chapel for meetings where they planned their charitable activities. In 1732, this group decided to create a school to help educate orphan girls and widows. They specifically made a school for women because they knew that many of them would become mothers who would share their values and knowledge to future generations. And these were very devout people who were trying to live by the Jesuit beliefs, right? They chose Saint Ignatius of Loyola as their patron saint, and he was the one who founded the Jesuit order, which was always focused on education, and that's why they decided to open a school. At first, they had asked for another area, like they were trying to buy some land for their school, and they were denied that area. It was like a nicer place and offered a space that was once a market, but now it was in this rundown, poor area, and it just had become a dump. But they took it and they began building on July 31st in 1734. They chose this day because it was the feast day of Saint Ignatius de Loyola. Oh my God. Loyola, and it cost 2 million pesos to build. Members of the confraternity contributed financially to help the construction of the school. The building is approximately 17,000 square meters, featuring 9 courtyards and a chapel. Construction was officially completed by the 1750s, and by the time construction was completed, Bishop Manuel Rubio y Salinas looked for a religious order to oversee the school administration. Manuel de Aldaco, a prominent member of the Basque community as an entrepreneur, was committed to preserving the school's independence from both church and government, which was a very radical idea at the time. The members of the confraternity were motivated to dedicate their resources to advance education for women and widows, especially if they came from Spanish or Basque backgrounds. This was a real school and it was not a convent. They did not have to become nuns to be here, and that at that time was super modern because it was an all-girls school. It was not opened until 1767 because it took the Spanish crown a really long time to approve the school. King Charles III had to ratify the constitutions of the school, and it took a lot of petitioning for him to approve them. Pope Clement VIII was petitioned to authorize the opening of the school as well, and he did give it, as well as granting the school independence from ecclesiastical jurisdiction. This meant
Ecclesiastical.
Yeah,
E
ecclesiastical,
ecclesiastical.
ecclesiastical.
ecclesiastical
Hmm.
jurisdiction. So basically, this meant that they did not have to function as a religious institution. So they didn't technically have to be a church. Just because they had a chapel in there, they didn't have to be a whole, it wasn't a convent. But it did have its foundation in Christian values. This
You
didn't,
know,
oh, go
oh,
ahead.
sorry, Karina, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just
No, you're
saying,
fine.
I think it's really cool. I just looked up because I really wanted to know what 2 million pesos was in today's monetary value. So they built that school for all girls for $105 million. I love that fact. That actually might be my favorite thing about this story so far.
That they spent that much on it.
Yes. I
So
love
that's
it.
For a
And
school
pictures.
for
it's a
girls.
Beautiful.
school for girls. Like I love that you know what I mean? I love that you didn't even highlight that fact. You were like, we're just gonna roll with it. But I feel like in that time, especially given how patriarchal Catholicism is, I think
Well, and
that's
I
a
think that's
wonderful, a
part of the
beautiful
reason why
thing.
the king was like hesitant to give it the green light to open.
Was because
That's
of how
why,
much money?
well, I don't even know if it was the money, just because it was for the
It was like,
girls.
why
Oh,
girls? Like,
why
yeah.
girls?
Yeah.
Ugh. I see, and there's my brain deleting that angle.
Yeah, trying to think the best in all situations, Randy. But yes, they
Well,
finally did agree. The Pope and King Carlos were like, okay, fine, you can have your school. But now the school is open. So about the women, I did this unintentionally. I was doing my notes and I was like, oh, why did I, this is one of those where I was like, why did I pick this? And like, I was doing the notes and I'm like, oh, well, yes, this is why, the women. Obviously they were around. They were the students, teachers, and administrators. Maria Teresa Magana was appointed as the rector of the school and was the overall administrator, and it was a boarding school. They taught reading, writing, arithmetic, cooking, embroidery, and needlework. Maria, along with Teresa Lexarza, were key to establishing and maintaining the archive, the historical archive, and today 650 pieces of textiles remain in the school's collection. So one of the reasons I picked this story is because they have this huge collection. It is not only a really old building, which I find fascinating, but it also is full of really old things that they have just collected over the years and they are preserving. And on top of that, the school itself was considered one of the best in the country from the beginning. And it was the school that the government officials selected for their daughters. And
that makes sense. That
I,
makes sense.
It does.
I just love that there is such a big, beautiful place for women to go and get an education. And in one of my sources, they're talking about like in a time when, at the time of the revolution, most people were illiterate. No one's like reading. You're definitely not writing. And to be able to go to school, insane. In 1847, when the American army invaded Mexico, a group of American soldiers was stationed in the school. Luckily, they did no damage to the building because you must always worry with soldiers. You cannot trust them. But accounts of that time can still be found in the archive of the school. So, like during that time, they were like, this is what's going on. They're here. And I love that. I love to know what I thought about in my own life, and I can't even imagine looking through somebody's historical, like who's lived through a lot of historical things and reading their journal. I want to read someone's journals. How is that, Greg? That's your job, some.
I was doing it today, actually. I got through about half of 1730 in the diary that I'm reading. So,
You're catching up to us.
I am. You know what? I actually, so my sister wanted me to, this is just a random aside. My sister wanted me to send her like the chapters that I've finished on my book at this point, because I'm like over halfway, but I still have four more to write. So I like took all the drafts that I had and put them in a PDF, and I was like, holy shit, it's 250 pages. Like just, I mean, it's double spaced, like,
Mm-hmm.
manuscript like type thing, but that's still a lot, and I
Mm-hmm.
got probably another 200 to go, would be my guess. So.
Wow.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
that's intense.
That is intense.
It's a lot. I mean,
I'm
it's like
having a
over a
hard
lot of
time even
years,
fathoming it. Yeah, I'm
you know.
having a hard time even
But I was like,
contemplating
God
that.
damn, that's a lot of writing. Like when you put it all together, I'm like, oh shit, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Greg, oh shit, that is a lot.
Well, it is. Well, like, you're working on a chapter, you're like, okay, this one's like 40 pages or whatever, and then you're done with it and you
Long
move on to
chapter.
something else.
You like a long chapter, Greg?
Well, no, no, the one I just finished was 51 pages. It's probably the longest one, but I put a lot of stuff into it. So.
I'm sure it's hard not to put so much into it. I'm sure for as much as you put in, you're holding back.
Oh yeah, there's random things I cut out that I'm like, there's just not a good place to insert this. Like there's this letter that his younger brother wrote to him when like his younger brother's in college and he's writing to his brother who's just like getting started as a minister. And he like there's this whole bit where he's like, I've heard that you took up like smoking the pipe, like 'cause apparently Steven started smoking and he's like, like basically like there's so
Apparently.
well, no, yeah, I mean apparently, I don't know
We
when that
just
happened, but
got
it's funny
that
because
one
his younger
side,
brother's
yeah.
like, "Hey, I heard you started smoking, and like that's bad, but if you only do it occasionally, it's probably all right,
Literally the
like
conversation Karina and I just had about her vape. I was like, don't love that you got that friend.
yeah, I mean that's kind of what it's like though, It's like it's just it's such a funny like little brother quote that I'm like, I want to find a way to work it in somewhere, but I couldn't find a place here, so I might like
Yeah.
later, just as a random aside, just because it's so funny.
Fun fact. Okay, back to the
Well,
school. Oh, go
I
ahead,
do have
Randy.
a fun fact for you too, Karina, since you said you got to worry about the soldiers. My favorite example of that is when the dictator took over in Rome, and God bless me, I want to say it's Mussolini, but not entirely sure because world history was not greatly taught. Um, they defaced the Colosseum, the Roman Colosseum. They were housed in there for the occupation of Rome, and when you walk around the Colosseum, you'll see engravings like literally like graffiti of these soldiers who were just bored in the Colosseum and were like, fuck it. Like, who cares how long this has been around? It may not be around after we're gone, so we're just gonna carve into it. And that's what we that's what we
There
have.
were those tourists just like last year or something or the year
Got
before that got in
made, got
big
arrested
trouble.
and
Yeah.
fined. Yeah. An American, of course.
My least favorite is like when we invaded Iraq in 2003, we pillaged their Museum of Antiquities and like all that shit ended up on the black market.
Oh, God. No, I hate that.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in give it back, but
There's a lot
Same.
of stuff that's like the whole like antiquities trade and like early manuscripts and shit like that like just exploded after that point. And there's a lot of stuff like they know like they were held in the museum that ended up in private hands because rich people bought them and were like, it's mine
don't care
now.
how we got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't
hmm
care how we got it.
Mm, I should keep it for myself.
well, some of them even say things like, well, it's safer here with me than it is there.
Yeah.
Like it matters because it didn't belong to them. Anyway.
Yes.
That actually should be a deep dive we do because I would love to talk about stolen antiquities.
You could talk about the Elgin marbles too. That's a touchy subject with the
Who?
British Museum. So
Mm-hmm.
like during World
Yes.
War II, they took all the marbles, like the marble frescoes or whatever from Greece, and then
Mm-hmm.
like didn't give
And
them
they
back.
just
Like
keep
I
them.
saw them when I
hmm
went to the British Museum. They're beautiful, but like
I
you know.
haven't. I have been to Greece and I didn't see him. I got
I
told
You got to go
that
to
they were in.
London.
I got told you got to go to the British Museum or
Yeah,
whatever
the
the
British
museum's
Museum
called.
is fucking awesome. It is a really cool
Yeah,
museum. Um,
they pillaged the whole worldwide.
yeah, oh,
Of
they
course, it's
have the fucking
amazing.
Rosetta Stone there. Like I saw it, I'm like, holy shit, I've only seen this in books, but I'm like standing in front of the Rosetta Stone, you know?
That actually, I think I'd be speechless. I'm having a hard time even fathoming that.
Oh, it is probably my favorite museum that I've been to, just in terms of like how much stuff is there.
And then Brandy has to be like, "Oh, well, how did they get all that stuff?"
Oh, I know
Oh, I know.
exactly
I
how
mean,
they got it.
we all know how they got it.
I I do that. I felt guilty when I was admiring the marbles, you know, like they're very proud of them, but they're also never gonna fucking give them back.
Because you know how, like that joke about the UN.
I don't.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay, so how many countries are in the UN? Like over 180? There's like 180 countries in the United Nations. And is it easier to give the number of countries that haven't been invaded by Britain or the number of countries that have been invaded? And the answer is haven't been, because only 22 of those over 180 countries have not been invaded by Britain. 22.
I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why their museum is so good.
Yeah.
Where haven't they stolen from?
Well, you know, they used to say that the sun never sets on the British Empire.
Oh, that's true.
hmm
Yeah,
And with those, I mean, we just talked about all those expeditions they did in Antarctica, and they really tried to make that true.
they're going places.
Well, the people who didn't have to steal and colonize and pillage to take their historical artifacts are the people who made them there. So this it's the school. I'm talking about the school.
hmm
But the education there got better and better, and soon they added stuff to make it up to European standards. They began to teach the girls science. The school of Vizaines still has 200 instruments that were used in classes such as physics and chemistry. They just kept all the stuff they used. They also introduced gym classes as well as foreign languages because they wanted to make sure that they were providing the best education you can get, right? In 1876, the school participated in the International Exhibition in Philadelphia by sending several embroidery pieces for display, which I thought was really like, you'd never think about putting up exhibits from other countries. Like, I feel like we don't do that as much anymore.
We stopped doing World's Fairs though. And
Yes.
that's like that was during the heyday of that kind of stuff.
Yes. Where they were like, let's see what the world is like. I guess because we have the internet, we think we know what the world is like.
No,
Yeah.
it's because we went from competing all the time to America first.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
like the
that's disturbing.
1893 Chicago one had this whole lagoon that you could like where they had like indigenous people on boats that they brought like from Africa and like various other places to be like kind of like a like there's like almost like a village for them to live in and you could sort of like imagine you were in Africa when you were in Chicago.
I mean, we could
Actually,
do this without collecting people, Greg.
well, that would be a World's Fair.
Yeah.
Oh, can you even, I mean, those World's Fair actually, it's kind of crazy to think about how they were just put up and then taken down because they like built buildings.
No.
It's really, yeah, when he
There's
says
only
village,
one
he
left in
means village.
Chicago from the 1893 World's Fair.
Where is it?
It's in the big park that's right on the shore. I think it houses, I can't remember what it houses today, but I know like there's there's one of them left because they built those buildings really
hmm
shittily. Like, you know, so
Well, they
that
were
so a
up
lot
for
of
like
them,
2 months, 6 months, however long,
yeah, and
a
they're
couple of
doing like
months.
plaster facades on the outside
Hmm.
and stuff like that. So they weren't really made to last. So I think there's only like one of those. I don't know if there's any in St. Louis from their World's Fair that they did in like I think it was 1903 or something, early 1900s.
Yeah, before the Spanish flu. That,
Yeah,
yeah.
Listen, I don't hear the words fair and think, sound structure. That's gonna last. Like,
yeah.
no. So one of the students that went to the school is was named Julia Mourner, who was a girl who enrolled in 1877. She would end up committing her whole life to this school after being a student and would eventually move on to become professor and the director of the school. She wrote memoirs of her daily life and then donated those to the historical archive. In 1922, she started saving paintings, sculptures, photos, and used an empty room to create a museum. In 1938, along with Gonzalo Obregón, they were able to preserve the artistic collections and documents from the School of Our Lady of Charity and the School of St. Michael of Belém, along with that of the School of Bis Biscaynes. So basically, they collected all the other stuff from the other schools and saved it here in this old building. The school was originally named the Real Colegio de San Ignacio de Loyola because of their education, because the education was based on Catholic teachings. But then when Mexico gained its independence, they changed it to from Real, so royal, to Nacional Colegio, the National College. The
That makes
school's
sense.
been, yeah, they were like, well,
Yeah,
now it's for the nation.
yeah.
Ugh. The school has been around since Mexico's independence in 1810, their revolution in 1910, and COVID. The historic archive has 575 musical manuscripts by Europeans, New Spain, and 19th century composers. They still have the organ in place that was built in 1834 and it continues to be used and was recently restored.
Mm.
Like they try to keep everything the way it was.
I love a good bit of organ music.
Hmm. In 1970, boys were allowed to be admitted, and the school continues to be. Wait, Randy's clapping. Hold on.
Yes.
There,
Yes to
we'll
this
allow it.
school. Yes to
That
this
was what
school for nearly 300 years of women only.
I was gonna say that was it's interesting because that's when my university for my undergrad first opened to men was in the 70s for grad
We'll let
programs.
them in.
Yeah,
I guess so. It was like the women's revolution and the men's.
yeah.
The school continues to operate to this day, and in September of 2025, they had 620 students in attendance. The original walls constructed in the 1700s remain standing, and they continue to preserve both the building and the items in their historical archive in order to make sure that they are available to future generations. I just really love this little story. I don't think we hear enough about old buildings. I love buildings. And I
Mm.
also love a place that values history. And it's in the heart of Mexico City, and I thought that was beautiful. And it ties with one of Greg's facts. So there we go. But I really enjoyed researching it. There's so many facts, they have so many things, and the textiles they have in the archive are really beautiful. And it's amazing to think that they went to school and their stuff is still, you can go still see the stuff that they made. Like that is such a beautiful thing. And it's
I love
around for
that.
us to, to learn about now. And
Yeah, I
that's my
just
tale.
recently found out that there's some like chair covers that are embroidered that the Abigail Williams, the wife of the guy that I'm writing the book on, she made apparently. Like we don't know about when, but they're actually I think in like the Art Institute of Chicago or something in their museum. So the next time I'm in Chicago, I want to try to swing by and see them in person just because it's cool. I don't know a lot about her other than what her husband writes in his diary and a couple of letters that we have. So it's just neat to see something connected with a person, and like imagining these girls at this school like making these different things that have survived is really cool.
You know, I have a friend. She works at the AKG here in Buffalo. The AKG is a museum. I am so remiss because I do not know her job title. I know what she does, but I don't know exactly what it's called in the museum world. But basically, like, she works with the curators, she works with the head people at the museum to bring in artists and shows, and she works with that show to like put everything together. And she did something really, really cool with this last show. It was a Latinx show, which was amazing. Like it was really, really cool in general. They had like Adobe brick and like all of these really fun textile-y, touchy things that like you want, the art that you want to touch and you're like, "Oh, like why can't I touch this? I just know that that would feel so good to touch." She worked with the artists and with the museum to get permission, and they had textile touch screens. So next to the works of art, there were these little wooden things, and you could pick them up, and they had like little snippets of the work, and you could feel what the work would feel like without touching the actual painting. It was like the most fun I had engaging with art in so long because I would have such a hard time, Greg and Karina, like with your textiles, not touching them. I'm 100% like I want to use it. That's like art to be used kind of thing.
Yeah. I think I luck out getting when I actually get to go into the archives and like you're holding this letter from like 300 years ago and you're like, holy shit, like the person that I'm writing about or researching wrote this, or
Right? Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a really cool art installment. And I really think that I love when we talk about art in terms of outside of the terms of painting and like really this like rigid idea of what art is.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to part 1 of the Sippin Saga Society's episode on the year 1767. Part 2 will come out on Sunday, and it will be Randy's turn to do our big story. Randy will be discussing the Mason Dixon Line Survey. If you would like to support us, our endeavors, our drinks, or just share your thoughts about the show, please visit our website, sipandsaga.online. Thank you.